Hi, this is a female New Mexican's political point of view, and we're here with Senator Linda Lopez, who is running for Lieutenant Governor. Welcome to the program, Senator.
Thank you very much.
We are a women-based blog, so you're being one of the few females running for Lieutenant Governor. What do you feel you bring to this race that is important for women?
Well, first of all, I am State Senator Linda Lopez, and it's my belief, I think I'm still the only woman running for Lieutenant Governor that's announced at this point. But I do bring to the table experience. And when I say experience, I've been a New Mexico State Senator for 13 years. I do not need on-the-job training from day one. When I walk in the door, I'm there to help. I know the rules of the Senate. I know my colleagues. I know who votes where, what, and how, and I know who you can work with and who you can get over to kind of maybe do some middle ground compromise work. I'm there, it'd be day one to help our governor. If Ms. Dennis if we work as a team and we're there, I'm there, day one. She doesn't have to worry about me, I'm there to help.
What about women's issues like education? The educational budget is looking at maybe some serious cuts this year if the GOP gets their way in the Senate. How do you feel about that issue?
For me, education, and for many of us across the state, is so important, and it's primary to anything that happens in our state. If you look at economic development, recruitment of companies to come in, they look at the education system and see how successful we are. To cut the education budget is something that I, and of course many of my colleagues, would not stand for, Senate or House members. We will work our hardest this coming special session, but even more so in January, to see what we can do to stave off some very big cuts to education. There may be some other areas that we can look for some budget enhancements. I have introduced a bill the last 3 or 4 years dealing with returning our income tax at the higher levels of those who earn money in our state back to what it was pre-Governor Richardson's time. And I believe if you look at the numbers, what that is about $400 million. That's about the hole that we're in right now. And I do believe that offers us it's an opportunity that sits there, and we have to talk about it. We need to look at it and see what we can do to come out in this mix.
Women are facing some really big problems when it comes to violence towards them in this state. Mm-hmm. Out of all the crimes, domestic violence and abuse against women has been one of the major problems this state has faced.
Yes.
What would you do to work to improve that situation in the future?
Well, if you look back at my record over the last 13 years, I have introduced and sponsored many different measures that have gone to support families, women who are victims of domestic violence. Violence is something that exists in our communities. It's something that we have to stop. I have always been an advocate and will continue to be an advocate that we need to say no more. Ya basta, no more. So that is something that I will pledge to continue working on to make sure that those budgets are not cut. We continue to add more money. I've been chairwoman of the Welfare Reform Oversight Committee. I always make sure that some of those TANF dollars go to help the programs that offer support services for women across the state. Even with the Women on the Mesa issue, that's been, of course, in my neck of the woods, talking about and learning more from the families and those women associated with the families and such. There's just too much at point in our community, and we need to say no more.
What about the environment? Women are looking for more play areas for their children and more recreation. Child obesity has become a major epidemic in this country. What initiatives are you going to start to help get children out and active?
Well, I'm a single mom of an 8-year-old, so I know the whole factor of trying to get your child outside, including even me to get outside. When we talk about this whole issue on health care, what we need to do about improving our health care status in this country, a lot of it is going back to prevention. Prevention also equates to getting ourselves outside, working with our children, getting them to run around, kind of what happened when I was younger. We didn't have the television, we didn't have the computers, the games, DS games and everything. It's an opportunity to try and get our kids, including ourselves as families, outside. That is part of it. And if you want to take your children outside, you need to have a clean environment to make sure that the air is clean that we breathe, that you have, such as where we are today, a beautiful park to bring your kids to, but also to make sure it's a safe area to bring your children. Just all those different contexts to look at. even in our parks and such across this great state. We need to make sure that we work with our state parks to make sure they're clean, all the different mix. We've worked on it during the past sessions working with the departments, but there's always room for growth.
Finally, what about economic development and jobs for women in the state of New Mexico? Women make less than men do in this state and then across the nation when it comes to jobs. So how do we improve women's economic status for this state?
Well, women's economic status, as we all know, of course, we do have jobs already. We're the homemakers. We're the women who go home, many times multitasking for all the different things that we do. So already we are employed. The problem is that we don't get recognized, and that's not just an issue here in our state, but it's an issue across this country of ours as well as across the world. But to talk about jobs for women, it goes back to education. For those women who need to go back to school, there are programs at our local community colleges, at the universities, even for the TANF program that I'm chairman of the Welfare Committee. Instead of getting on TANF, you could opt to go and continue for a certificate program, something to add value for your job. You don't ever have to get on the system, but you can actually get some financial help for that. Working with smaller organized nonprofits that are helping to offer scholarships for women. Those are all things that we need to continue to move forward and advocate for. Because if a mom has a high school certificate, she's able to earn more money. As she goes on to get another certificate at CNM, at Doña Ana Community College, San Juan, wherever, she adds more value to that check that comes in, goes back to work a bachelor's degree and continues to move up the ladder. It adds value and it helps for our families. As I say, for a single mom, I understand. It's trying to balance, but we can do it, and I believe with having some strong advocates at the top of the ticket and working in Santa Fe, we can continue to move this forward for not just the women, but for our families, because that's where the crux of it comes down to.
Thank you. Do you have a website where people can check out?
Yes, I do have a website. My website is votelindalopez.com.
Thank you.